There are 199 chapters across the Harry Potter series. Each book obviously has its standouts. The closing chapters of Harry's adventures are always heavy on action and therefore very memorable, but when you have so many chapters, others can often be overlooked by the community. Part of the brilliance of Harry Potter is that even the more mundane, less eventful chapters are always entertaining. In the process of creating this list, I noticed that all of my choices come from the final 4 books, which some of you may find disappointing if you love the earlier entries in the franchise. I think the reason for this is that the first 3 books are punchier. Every chapter is really important, whereas the later entries have more of those quieter, slower chapters that are more easily overlooked. And the first chapter on this list is a good example of this, The Other Minister, which opens up the Half-Blood Prince. I've always found this chapter really cozy, which probably sounds ridiculous. There's no action at all, and the whole thing takes place in the Prime Minister's office, and a lot of it is the Prime Minister going over his previous interactions with Cornelius Fudge. The 2 ministers discuss the breakouts from Azkaban, Voldemort's return, even the Triwizard Tournament gets a mention. Towards the end of the chapter, the reader is introduced to the new Minister for Magic, Rufus Scrimgeour, and though he isn't a particularly prominent character in the series, it is interesting to see how he compares to Fudge. At number 4, one of the most fun chapters in the whole series, OWLs from the Order of the Phoenix. With the exception of Harry's vision at the end, there is nothing in this chapter that is relevant to the core plot. But it doesn't matter, I adore the more low-key parts of Hogwarts, the lessons, the homework, the exams. They're all really enjoyable, possibly because we as an audience can relate to them a little more because everyone's been to school. There's also plenty of humour in this chapter, such as when Malfoy messes up his charms practical, and when Harry and Ron both completely bomb their divination exam. At number 3, I have Lord Voldemort's Request, again from the Half-Blood Prince. This chapter features 2 journeys into the Pensieve. The first one involves Tom Riddle going to visit Hepzibah Smith, and we get our first glimpse of Hufflepuff's cup. And the second memory, which is my favourite of the 2, is when Voldemort goes to Dumbledore to ask for a job. Both memories are essentially insights into Riddle's gradual transformation into Lord Voldemort. And in the case of the second memory, it's fascinating to see how different his relationship with Dumbledore is when compared with their first meeting back in the orphanage. The runner-up on this list is Kreacher's Tale from the Deathly Hallows. This is the chapter where Kreacher recounts the story of Sirius's younger brother, Regulus, and how he stole Voldemort's locket and died in the process. It's a really nice twist because up until this point all we know about Regulus was that he used to be a Death Eater, tried to leave and was then killed, presumably on Voldemort's orders. But this, of course, turns out not to be the case. This retelling is a great piece of character development for both Regulus and Kreacher. I also want to highlight a section at the beginning of the chapter where Harry finds a letter addressed to Sirius from Lily. It's a really sweet moment when Harry reads his mother's letter, and it doesn't get enough appreciation. And number 1 is The Egg and the Eye from the Goblet of Fire. This is a pretty long chapter with 2 main components. There's the section in the prefect's bathroom where Harry tries to figure out the golden egg's clue with the help of Moaning Myrtle. And then there's the aftermath when Harry gets stuck in the trick stair and he's almost caught by Snape and Filch. The first half is the more light-hearted, fun section. The prefect's bathroom is one of my favourite locations in Hogwarts. To echo Harry's own thoughts, it would be worth becoming a prefect just to use the bathroom. And the second half shifts the tone considerably. It's very intense and suspenseful. When I first read this as a child, I was totally glued to the page. It's also clever how it foreshadows the end of the book because Harry sees Barty Crouch on the Marauders map and assumes it's Barty Crouch Sr., but it's actually his son. Very clever, one of my favourite clues in the whole series. I'd be really interested to know which chapters you feel are underrated. As I said at the start, there's almost 200 Harry Potter chapters in total, so you've got a lot to choose from. Thank you for watching, and it's goodbye from me until next time.